Okay, so I'm going to make a comprehensive video on my Crossdraw Quiver and how I load in a few different ways with some different strategies. So first up, Crossdraw Quiver, set up on the left side for faster drawing. I take these two broken arrows and I place them in the tops of the quiver. So this helps the quiver keep its shape. So when I'm down to that last arrow is not binding up, okay? So that's why I put the two broken arrows at the top to kind of keep the form of the quiver. So when I'm down to those last arrows, the quiver isn't causing me problems, all right? Somebody being helpful. So for competitions on the track, I will run with 5 arrows at the bottom slots of my quiver. Also, when I practice 5 arrows at a time so I can keep track. The great thing about this quiver is you can pre-index your nocks, so when you go for the grab, and I do an overhand grab much like a sword, the nocks are already pre-indexed, okay? Now, when I'm doing quiver work, like I said, I put those arrows in the bottom slots, I pre-index my arrows. When I'm working out of the quiver, I will bring my bow up so I can kind of see my targets, because I am focused. My complete focus is on the targets. So once I hit that target, my focus is on the next target as I load. I'm not watching how I load, but I try to keep my bow out of the way of the quiver, so when I do that overhand grab, the arrow is completely out of the way of the bow. Now also what I'm doing is when I grab, I'm grabbing with these 3 fingers, but my middle finger is indexing the flat of the nock. So I use the flared Y nocks. So it's indexing the flat of the nock. So when I bring it out and up, I can just bring it in and underneath the nock and knock. Okay? So it's a up, out, up. And then I can shoot. Up and on. So I'm taking that middle finger, finding the nock with that middle finger, flipping it under and knocking. Okay? So also, just another thing that you can do, so let's say you're shooting in hand. Now, when you're practicing on the ground, you can grab multiple arrows, and if you flip them up, placing them in between these 2 fingers and then rolling, they're all set and ready to go. So then you can just pull up, shoot, pull up, shoot, pull up, shoot. All right? And you can use that technique. You can use this technique when you're on, let's say, a Polish track, because on the Polish track or the hunt track, you can only start with 1 arrow nocked before you get across the start line. So if you're on that track and you know you have a good spacing, but you want to load up some in hand because you know you're coming up on maybe a multi-shot target, if you grab 3, pull up, twist, they're already ready to load. You're loaded, you're ready to go for like multi shots on one target if you have that opportunity. Okay. Also, if you're on the reins, because sometimes, you know, hey, horse archery is supposed to be reinless, but sometimes, hey, I'm on the reins, I'm navigating a ditch, or I'm navigating a hill, and you want to be on the reins, or you're at some kind of crossroads where you think your horse might juke on you, but you really want to come this way. You take these two fingers, come up by the feathers. While you're on the range, you flip it up, drop those reins, tuck under, and shoot. You can also grab multiple arrows and then just do it this way as well. So it's when I'm grabbing, I'm indexing with this finger, twisting, and popping on. And then rotating to shoot correctly, the thumb draw. So the only time I fully load my quiver is when I'm on the Polish track. Polish track, you get to start with an arrow knocked. That arrow gets dumped. If I got time, I can grab 3, twist and rotate, push on, shoot, push on, shoot, push on, shoot. If I'm on the reins, flip up, drop the reins, shoot. Same thing on the reins again. Drop, shoot. I want to grab multiples, twist, knock, shoot. But if you practice this on the ground, at whatever range you're using, it's going to make you faster and more versatile with this quiver. So practice that and knock and knock, all while looking at your target. Okay, same thing, multiples. This time it's just 2 on, shoot, shoot. Singles on, 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 shoot. And this part is fast. So you want to get it out there, put it on. And it doesn't, after a while, you're going to feel which way your knock is by when it touches your hand, and you'll be able to make those minor corrections to put it on. All right, some people do like an over or underhand method and then put it on, but for me it's a little slow. It doesn't incorporate those multi-arrow flips up and all that stuff. So that's one of the reasons why I shoot and load that way. Okay, there's a lot of different loading techniques. If you want to be super fast, copy me high, but this is how I do it. All right, hopefully it helps you. So my strategy for the tower is 5 in hand. I index my knocks, and I'm ready to go. So I will shoot these 5 in hand, and my strategy is 14 to 16 seconds. So I'm going to shoot these 5 in hand, and sometimes all 5 of them are going out towards that front target. So once I shoot these 5 in hand, then I transition to the 5 I have at the bottom of my quiver in these lower slots that have the least leather drag. Okay, that's why I only practice with 5 arrows in the quiver, because I always want to know exactly where they are. On that Polish track, I'm loaded up. I can select multiple arrows. I can select 1 arrow. I can pop 1 arrow. But this right here is my tower setup. Then when I'm doing the raid, my raid setup is just these 5 arrows, so I know exactly where they are at all times. I'm not fishing. If I'm hunched over, the arrows aren't hitting me in the chest. I know exactly where they are at all times. I only run with 5 because on the raid track, you're only going to have 3 targets. If you're on a really long 150 meter raid course, yeah, there's a 5 arrow course, so you might want to carry like 7 just to have a couple backups. But this is how I run. So this is my raid setup. I showed you my tower setup, showed you my Polish track setup. All different, but all pretty much the same. And I train this way on the range with just 5 arrows. And then when you're training for your for in-hand stuff, just work on grabbing those multiple arrows, drawing them out, rotating them on, get set up, and then practice your in-hand work. You get those 3 gone, same thing, multiple arrows, roll, knock, and just practice that on the ground. Because then when you're in the saddle on that Polish track and you want to grab multiples, it's already in your muscle memory bank, all right?